Now, it's emerged that the Home Office is paying for 16,000 homes for asylum seekers, despite a colossal housing shortage. Young people and families struggling to put a roof over their heads, but contractors working for the Home Office are offering landlords very sweet 5-year guaranteed deals with full rent for housing migrants. This so-called dispersed accommodation, which means not hotels, so drawn from private rental and social housing markets, is a part of a strategy to cut the £8 million a day spent on asylum hotels. But experts are warning the Home Office that the plan risks depriving young people and families, local families, of cheaper rented accommodation. And the other problem is that clusters of migrant accommodation in cheap areas in parts of Hull and Bradford and Teesside could end up leading to the creation of ghettos, which is obviously bad for integration. Look, whatever way you cut it, people are absolutely sick of this. They are sick of seeing their own quality of life being depressed as a result of the pressure on public services and, you know, the availability of social housing, council housing, or even cheap hotel accommodation if you might need it, is being dramatically distorted, reduced by this unprecedented number of asylum seekers and the inability of this government to process them in an efficient way. It is absolutely insane that people are being made to wait for a year or more. Sometimes there are asylum seekers who are waiting several years for their case to be heard. And even if you're, unlike me, a bleeding heart and you think hashtag be kind, you know, hear them out, hear the second appeal and the third appeal, I don't think it's right on those asylum seekers that they're stuck in hotels for 2 years doing nothing, often working on the black economy. That is the reality. It isn't working for anybody, this state of affairs. There should be a very, very fixed period in which claims are considered and either accepted or thrown out. And after the claim is rejected, then people must be made to leave.
There are 100,000 people waiting for a decision from the Home Office. Of those, 58,000 are dispersed. 30,000 came in after the illegal migration bill was passed. So they're not even allowed to be here, but they can't be sent anywhere because we haven't got anywhere safe to send them until the Safety of Rwanda bill goes through. But, I mean, the whole thing is an absolute shambles. Meanwhile, there are 1.2 million people waiting for a council house. So at the base of this, it's deeply, deeply unfair.
Yeah, but you've all got this completely wrong, because Rishi Sunak promised. He promised that by Christmas, just gone, this was all going to be sorted in the backlog. So obviously he couldn't possibly have told big fat porkies to us. So we must be the idiots here that think that this. I mean, it is completely nuts. And you know, Isabel and I have always managed to disagree agreeably on this issue. And I am on this issue a bit more of a bleeding heart. Sort of, that's where I naturally sit. But actually on this issue, I completely agree with you. It's not fair on anyone. It's not fair on us. It's not fair on them. It's not fair on the taxpayer. It's not fair on people who are being still drawn over the channel because they think, well, I could just disappear too. So I'll endanger my life and my family's life for this promise of the Never Never Land that's going to be fantastic. The whole thing is an absolute mess.
There's a sense of... I mean, it's so... the story is so big... that almost we've lost sight of, and it's there all the time, that, again, in many respects, we should all be talking about nothing else all the time.
And I think the problem is that we're sort of, this is our job to be angry about it. So I find myself being angry about it far too much of the time. And ordinary people are perhaps, you know, this washes over them.
No, I think they're furious.
But there are still a lot of people whose daily lives are affected, whether it's the amount of money they can earn doing legitimate work.
But imagine you just bought a house, say £200,000, you buy a semi-detached terrace house or whatever, and then you suddenly got asylum seekers next to you. You're not going to be very happy, are you?
No.
And the decimation to the local communities is absolutely off
do you know
the scale.
the wait in London for a couple for a council house is 19 years. 19 years.
Oh, wow. I mean, this is insane.
But what's the option? What was the other option? Because when we had hotels full, local hotels, people are going there, mobs are going down and threatening violence. Now he moves them out the hotels and finds other accommodation, and it's still a problem. He's not going to be able to stop illegal immigration. That's just not going to happen. So He has two options. Keep paying the £8 million a day and having people in hotels, of which the British public have already said publicly, we don't want that, we want them out of our areas. So then where do you house them?
Process them and do it quickly, and if they aren't allowed to stay here, get them out of the country.